Colby, where did you go?
I went into town.
Liar! You've been saying that for ages! You have a terrible accent.
Everybody's getting another movie from the accent, I think.
What's going on, guys? My name is Barry.
This is Colby.
And this is Who Watches This. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the final month of the public domain verse. And
yes,
who knew that, like, when all these public figures or intellectual properties go into the public domain, that they're like, oh, how could we make a horror movie out of this?
Everyone's like a horror movie. Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Like, let's first ponder that before we delve into this movie that is shorter than a full moon movie. Why do you think that
I feel because, like, most of these movies were, like, happy-go-lucky, so they try to... you got to go the opposite direction.
You think so?
Yeah, I think...
Yeah. You know, so go ahead.
Oh, good.
Well, no, I was going to say, like, the only one that I can really think that didn't go, like, not, like, full horror route, but more of, like, the sci-fi kind of feeling route was, there's this movie, God, maybe it was, like, 2012, called Malice in Wonderland, where it was, like, a modern take on Alice in Wonderland, and it was just more, like, it was gritty, but it wasn't, like, horror. It was more, like, a sci-fi fantasy.
Okay.
And I was like, that was actually really entertaining to watch. Like, that one I feel like is a super underrated film. But, like, all the movies that we watch this month, it's just, let me find what we can find. And it's just all like, Mickey Mouse, but he's a killer. When Winnie the Pooh hungers for more than honey.
Right. We didn't even go into, like, the realm of Popeye. There's a handful of Popeye movies. Popeye the Slayer Man and Popeye's Revenge.
Cans of spinach aren't the only thing he's choking. It's like that one is actually pretty funny. Like the Popeye, I'm kind of sad that I didn't delve into the Popeye verse. I mean,
we could almost go another month on this. Like,
just Popeye the Slayer Man movies.
The more that I watch, the more it's like, oh, the algorithm's like, this is what you like, and then all of a sudden there's, like, all kinds of, like, that I didn't even know are, like, popping up.
That's actually pretty hilarious. But yeah, I guess let's go ahead and let's start the Ryan Fresh trailer for this one. All alone in a castle so cold, with no real family left to hold. A stepmom unloving to her plight, and stepsisters she has no will to fight. Is she the most unfortunate and has it the worst? We're gonna find out in Cinderella's Curse. Oh man, yes. Yeah, we're gonna be. I don't even. It's funny because, like, the date of this movie doesn't even pop up when you search for it, but the trailer I believe is from 2024, so it might just be that. I think this one had like so like the costume design for this movie was like the most excellent part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was gonna be a good movie in this. And they're like, all right, like, what if we mash up Cinderella and Carrie? Whoa.
There was a little Carrie vibes. Yeah.
But let's get to talking about this movie before we actually get into our thoughts of it. This movie starts off, like, in a pretty horrific way. I will say about this movie is that it has, like, really decent kills.
Yes.
and really good practical effects.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. This has got what the Mickey's or Mousetrap
Yeah,
was missing.
exactly. And this movie kind of almost starts off like a very Evil Dead ish from 2013, where we open up in a beautiful like drone shot of like Scotland or Ireland or whatever. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And then it all of a sudden cuts to this farmhouse, and this girl is tied up there, and she's being held captive by her father, who, big burly guy, and she's like pleading with her father, please stop. And then all of a sudden, a Necronomicon reject is on the floor. It literally looks like the Necronomicon.
Just with one eye.
It just, I think the Necronomicon only had one eye. This one was just
Maybe.
like pale. It was skinned from a redheaded beauty of the Scottish Isles.
Right. Yeah.
But no, he picks it up and she's like, "No, father, please don't." And all of a sudden, drawings start to pop up in it. Very scary stories to tell in the dark ish. But instead of stories, it's like caricatures. And then all of a sudden, her daughter turns like demon-eyed, and then a bunch of Cenobites come out of nowhere.
I thought that exact same
Yeah.
thing too.
And yeah, he ends up it was like slitting her daughter's throat. Pretty graphic. It's like it's kind of wonky because they mix in practical effects with like 2005 sci-fi like CGI. And then when he comes out, he's digging somewhere. I believe what he's digging is like something that he got from the book, where he got the book, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, this Cenobite-looking woman in a Marie Antoinette French Victorian, I don't know time periods, so comes out and like rips his head off.
Oh yes.
And she's like, "You will become a part of my posse." No, I think what did she call it at the end? Oh, killicatures. And then all of a sudden, we shift maybe a little bit into the future, and we are at Cinderella's like, what's it called? Home. And this is where we meet like the evil stepmother, and she's like treating Cinderella like trash. But we get a very early shot of the prince, who is receiving fellation from one of the evil stepsisters.
Right. Yeah. He's already picked the stepsister as his
queen to be. And that was so funny because like at that moment I was like, "Oh no, is this like a Skinemax movie?" Because like they're in the hallway and she like rips his shirt off, and this dude is jacked. He's pretty cut.
Well fit.
Yeah,
well
and
fit.
Yeah, he's just a fit bird, as they would say over there. And then she fellacious him as they're like plotting against her stepsister.
Right.
Cinderella.
Who's getting yelled at for doing her chores poorly, and the stepmother is basically like, you're doing poorly on your chores because you've got sin in you, and we have to sweat the sin out of you. So just sit in front of this fireplace all night long and just sweat out the evil.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, you know what, I will say, like, the casting choice for the stepmom, yeah, she looks pretty evil.
She does, yeah.
Yeah. But the casting for Cinderella, not that great. No disrespect to this actress.
Okay, I gotta say, at the beginning part,
yeah,
I was like, no. But by the end of the movie, I was like, hell yeah.
You mean
like, there's once the fairy godmother poofs her. I had to look. I was like, is it a different actress? Like, everything is so different.
You
and
know,
better now.
that's because that's because I believe she's around my age, but she looks about your age. And you're like, oh, not bad for a 45-year-old.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Botox always kills me on like actresses because it's so bad. But yeah, no, and so like yeah, so the morning comes and we meet. They're preparing for breakfast. We meet Anya, who's the maid, and she has injured herself.
Yes.
And so Cinderella, who is also at this point pretty much a maid as well, she's like,
Right.
"Oh
Yeah, because
no,
at this point, Dad's already gone. He has disappeared.
he's
He
gone
went
into town."
he went to
Yeah.
town to get some milk and never came back.
You make it sound like he's a deadbeat dad. He's like, yeah, he went into town for milk and cigarettes. Yeah, but no, Anya, and Anya and Cinderella have a pretty close relationship. Anya has a son, I believe his name is like Max or
Yeah.
Axel or whatever, something like that, something
Oh,
old timey.
Moritz.
Moritz, so off. And at this time, like, oh, what's it called? The stepmother is trying to prepare for, like, the royalty coming. She's like, oh, yes, the prince will be coming to court to my daughters and all that stuff. And I gotta say, the stepdaughters, pretty hot. I was like, you couldn't get, like, another one of them? I don't. I feel like I'm laying on pretty thick because she has like a lot of work done, but Cinderella, like not to be like one of those. Oh, it has to be close to the source material, but Cinderella's supposed to be like, isn't she supposed to be like the most beautiful of these sisters?
What?
Or no?
So if you go original story, her name was Ella, but they called her Cinderella because she always had like she was
on her.
Yeah, because she always had to take care of the fireplaces and stuff, so she was always dirty, and she had like little burn marks from when like the fire would pop. She had like little cinder burns on her face. So it wasn't until the fairy godmother made her beautiful that she was actually beautiful.
Oh, so she was just like a little dirty, like sometimes you see like people where you're like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that, you're too pretty.
Right.
But no, and so like yeah, but what's it called? The prince accidentally has like a little rendezvous with with Ella. But that's only because they like the other stepsisters like, yeah, we should bring her to the ball so we can humiliate her there.
Oh, right. It was actually the prince's idea because yeah, because when he sees her, because when the king and queen are like, our boy needs a baby.
Yeah.
We're having a ball. Let's find himself a wife.
We're having a ball so we can drain his.
Yeah. And he's like, I already know I want you, tall stepsister, but I ran into Cinderella, and you should totally invite her to the ball too, and we can just like torment her there. I'll pretend that I really like her and then not pick her.
Oh yeah. So like yeah, this is where he starts to like, she's all that, Cinderella, because she's like, oh yeah, oh your hands are so beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm captivated by them. But the other sister sees it and she's kind of like, I know it's my plan, but I don't like how you're looking at him or looking at her, And so, they have like this, they have another meeting, and he's like, oh, come on, it's going to be fun, And she's like, well, I just don't like the way you're looking at him.
Yeah. So then the other stepsister is like, hey, you know what? If we really want to embarrass her, I know where she hides her diary.
Right. But like while all this is happening, Ella is with Anya on the courtyard, and then that's where her son comes, and he had stolen a loaf of bread.
Right. Yep.
And they split it equally, and they're eating it and all that stuff. But during like lunchtime, Anya, or it just seems like Anya starts to kind of defend Ella.
Yeah.
Because she's the true heir to this estate.
Right. Yeah.
And so stepmom was like, no, useless cows. Yeah. They really. Oh my god, this is probably like like one of the more probably grim fairy tale accurate portrayals of
Oh,
these
right, yeah,
people.
it is. Yeah, they're not just mean to Cinderella, but at this point, you're like, oh, these are truly cruel people.
Yeah, because they sit her down for a one on one, like a little Zoom meeting. But the sisters are there, and they're like, "Oh, old cows don't produce milk anymore." But they pretty much like. First of all, this woman, not to be like, but she's like the combined weight of all three of these women, and I felt like she could have put up more of a fight. She's a pretty hefty gal,
I
but
don't think she was really realizing what was going to happen when they put her on the table.
but I feel like I always feel like in these like stories, the help always knows what's happening.
Uh, Probably.
And this has probably happened before, but no, they're like, oh my gosh, it's so sad. They put this woman like pig roast style on the table. They they hold her down and they start like just mutilating this woman.
Right. Well, they start off by like whipping her, right? Like
Yeah, and her
basically
back was
whip.
already pretty scarred.
Yeah.
And then, like, the stepmother was like, "Well, you're the queen to be, so you should learn, how to take out your outlets of anger." And she's like, "Oh, thank you, mother. I've been so pent up with rage."
Right. And they make like she makes a stupid like weird punny kind of line. She's like, I'm tired of looking at her,
Yeah,
so you should make her be tired of looking at me, or
yeah.
something like that.
Something just like, just so cruel. And they mutilate, like, it's like almost like Art the Clown style her
Oh,
face.
right, yeah. The meat hook her face and gouge her eyes out.
Oh yeah, they use the killing weapon from I Know What You Did Last Summer. I was like, I didn't even think that was invented at that time. But yeah,
Maybe it was a hay hook instead of a meat
oh,
hook, but
right. Oh my god,
you
it
know,
was. Yeah, this is like where a lot of the budget was because this looked brutal.
yeah,
And and then like the older sister's like, Cinderella, mother has asked for you. And yeah, at that point, this woman is like, she's like a pincushion
oh, right,
at
yeah,
this point. And they're like, "Oh, Cinderella, put your friend out of her misery." And at this point, Anya is at, what kind of life could she live if she survived this, right?
right, yeah. It's not like there's no comforts of modern.
Yeah. Like she was like, you either like it's either like you do it fast or she's gonna die of like sepsis or septis or whatever it is,
Yeah,
infection. Because
right,
so Cinderella ends up like doming her with
yeah,
like a fire poker or something like that. And at that point, she's like on the floor crying. Obviously, I think anyone would be broken at this point, having to kill their only friend in this place, and it's a mercy killing at that.
right.
And so, like, and then so she's like, the stepmother is like, "Oh, Cinderella, please do get this pig roast out of my office."
Now that you've killed her, clean this mess
Yeah,
up.
now that you've murdered your only friend. And so, like, as she's cleaning, she hears like the son asking, "Where's Mama? Mama, where are you?" And she's like, "Your mother has gone into town."
Right, and that's really the first time that it kind of like clicks with her, that when she said, then stepmom was like, your father went into town and he hasn't come back.
Yeah,
Then it's like, what?
yeah. And so, like, later that night, oh, like, what's it called? So she goes to like bury her friend, and and I don't know, luckily or unluckily enough, she also brings up the Necronomicon
Right. She has had some like little
dreams. Yeah,
nightmare kind of
yeah, like almost like premonitions.
premonitions. Yep.
Yeah, and she touches it, but then she ends up just like leaving in her room and serves what, like, lunch
Yeah.
The timing of this movie is like, I don't know if it's like within weeks or a week, or is it just the span of like 48 hours, you know? But then she's like, you know, she brought lunch out for everybody, and then as she tries to leave, her mom is like, or her stepmom is like, "Where are you going, Cinderella? Please sit down and eat."
Right. And the two, at this point, the two stepsisters are unusually nice to her because the one is like, hey, you have to go to the ball because I think that the prince likes you, and like, you're the pure innocent one of our group, so I think he might pick you. And so kind of gets her hopes up, and that's just a ploy so that she could be in Cinderella's room to steal the diary. And then the other sister is like, oh, hey, I don't have a fancy dress for you to go, but you can't go like in a maid's outfit, so at least take one of my old dresses.
Yeah. But like before that, when they're eating lunch, she starts to have like hallucinations that they're eating portions of Anya.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's also like, where is her son?
Right.
And he's like, oh, he's gone into town. And she's like, oh my god, like my father who never made it back. And she's like, shut up. Shut up, you little whore.
I will not be disrespected and questioned in my own house.
Right? No, and then and then that's where they come up with the ploy of like getting, like, you know, like what's it called? The younger stepsister getting the diary. And then the older sister's like, oh yeah, you should wear this dress. Oh, the younger sister, she's like, oh, look, your shoes that your father gave you, they didn't fit me.
Right.
And Cinderella's like, you tried my shoes on? She's like, yes, they were beautiful, but far too small. And yeah,
I have big feet and you have small, dainty feet. Yeah. Take these glass slippers.
And then the older sister ends up giving her like a nice dress. You know, but then when she comes down, she's there like laughing at her, like just like having a good old stomach laugh. She's like, no, you silly cow, you're gonna stay home.
Right. There's so much chores to do now that Anya's gone.
Now that she's went to town,
there's no way that you could go to this ball.
Yeah, no,
you're going to be far too busy.
Yeah, there's no way he wanted you anyway. And so now she's pretty pissed off because at this point she's like, no, the prince did want me, and he showed great interest in the one interaction that we did have. And so she picks up the book, and this is where like the Cenobite godmother comes, and she's like, oh, well, I can grant you 3 wishes.
Right.
And so she says her first 2 wishes were like to go to the ball and look pretty, but she's like, let me pocket this 3rd one. You know, you never know what could happen.
Right. Yeah. Actually, the fairy godmother's like, but don't rush to make your 3rd wish.
Oh yeah. And I was like, listen. But
then of course she does say, hey, everything goes away at midnight. So
you gotta use it then, you know. But in my head, I was like, if my godparent couldn't look like this, my fairy godparent couldn't look like a slab of meat. Like, you know what I mean? Like this woman has no face. She's like oozing blood. Her eye, she has one eye.
Yeah, it's definitely like you're getting because of the book and everything. It's like, I asked my fairy godmother so many times to help me, and she didn't. So I'm calling on like demon godmother to let's clear the slate here.
Yeah. And so she does, like they're at the ball, the prince is dancing with his queen to be, and they're like, oh, it seems like your sister has decided to come. And she's like in this beautiful white gown.
Right.
And they dance for a little bit, and then the prince like leans in close, and he was like, you couldn't think that I'd actually love a whore.
Right, a servant whore.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And then the funniest thing in my head is like the most unrealistic part of this whole movie is that there's black people here. Like, not to sound, oh god, I feel like that sounds racist, but they're like nobles. I'm not very learned in like history. So there could be black nobles, and I just didn't, and now it just sounds like an ignorant cow. I'm just saying, there are a lot of free ones.
Maybe I shouldn't have brought that up. I apologize.
I know I might have to bookmark this. Okay, so 24 minutes. I might have to cut that out. Let me make note of that somewhere down here. But no, yeah, and then like they push her down, and they're like, "Oh, everybody, tonight's entertainment has arrived. We're going to strip this woman naked and point and laugh at her."
Our punching bag for the evening is here, so please feel free to beat her while I read her deepest thoughts out of her diary to you all.
I was like, this is actually really cruel. Like, yeah, because there's just a whole bunch of people just like absolutely just like bitch slapping Cinderella.
Oh yeah,
and
it's totally like Mean Girls. It's like or Carrie, where it's like everybody's like, well, we got to join in, so that would be one of the cool kids.
Yeah. Oh my god. And then they strip her naked, and they're like, "Oh, she's nude, everybody. Oh, look at her with her fat titties." And so Cinderella is like, she looks up to like the ceiling of the ballroom, and she kind of yells it to her godparent or fairy godparent. She's like, "I know what my third wish is."
Yep.
And then she gets like transported into the field for a second.
Right.
And she's like, "I want revenge." And then when she pops back into the ballroom.
Well, then Cenobite Godmother says, if that's what you really want, I can give it to you, but then you have to give yourself to me.
Oh yeah. And so she pops back up, eyes like all like veiny, black veins running through her eyes, and everyone's like, "Oh dear, she's possessed."
Right, and then she's got like the Carrie superpowers as well.
Yeah, and like the Cenobite army with her now, and they're just like ripping into people, biting them.
Right.
The last like 20 minutes of this movie is super cool because it's just like it's campy gore fest. Yeah. And like she's slowly just killing everybody, and like probably the most gruesome one though is like when she kills like the younger sister.
Yes.
Because she's like, "Oh, did you want to wear my glass slippers?" She's like, no, Ella, please. My feet are far too big." And I was like,
"That's okay. I have these rusty ass scissors. I could just trim your toes off so your feet will fit."
And it's so campy because like when they go into cutting the foot, it's clearly rubber. It's clearly a rubber.
But it's not
foot.
CGI. It's practical effect.
Yeah, and they put it in. She puts it in, and she rips it off of her foot, and then the Cenobites go into town with her. Yep. And then the prince and the older sister are outside and deeply terrified. And then the prince is like, "Oh, I'll go run for help." But before he goes, he like rolls a vase towards her. And it just like totally sets her up. She's like bait.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
At this point.
Yeah.
And
at that point you're like, oh, he didn't want her anyway.
Yeah. And Cinderella goes to town with her. She uses her like glass slipper to like put a hole in her face. And it was I think it was brutal, but like it was proper, or it was like justified brutality on this woman because the way that they treated Anya is like, oh geez, how many more like servants have they done this to?
Right. Yep.
And then she gets to the prince and like it shoves a candle in his mouth until he starts to bleed from his mouth.
Well, she kind of starts he's kind of trying to like swooning at her, like trying to.
It's always been you, Cinderella.
Yeah, your sisters put me up to it.
Yeah, and then like it almost seems like they're gonna have like possession sex.
Right, yeah, because she like carries him onto the bed. Oh, like she pushes him,
Yeah,
like force pushes him onto the bed.
and gets on top of him, and he's like, "No, please don't, please." And then yeah, just he absolutely gets murked by her and the Cenobites because he falls to the side of the bed, and one of the
Yeah.
Cenobites crawls from underneath and is like, nom, 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 nom.
Nom,
Yeah.
nom.
And then they finally get to the stepmom. And the stepmom, man, she's kind of like, she's kind of like putting up like a verbal fight.
Yeah, yeah.
Because Cinderella's like, she's like, oh, you have more courage than your father when I sent him into town to get murdered.
Yep, he screamed like a baby.
And for a second, Cinderella is like, she kind of like grabs a hold of herself from her rage, even though the godmother's like, oh, you're the one that she holds the most hatred for.
Yeah.
And she starts to walk away, and then she's like, yeah, oh, come on, do it, pussy.
Right.
And she absolutely sets this woman ablaze. Which
Yeah.
I feel like was like the easy way. I thought she would have like took her time, but I guess, she's running, the clock is running against her, right?
Right. Midnight's coming. And so she's like, you deserve to burn in hell.
Yeah.
Poof, you're on fire.
Yeah. And so at this point, the godmother is like, hey, I fulfilled all your wishes. It's time to become one of my killicatures.
Yo.
And Cinderella's like, I'm done. I'm done being a slave. And uses her glass slipper one last time.
Right.
To kill her demon godmother.
Right. And she says, now it's time to lead.
Yeah. And then the Cenobites come from the forest and they look at the body. And then Cinderella walks past them and then they follow her out.
Yo.
And I was like, oh, there has to be more, right? And then, nope, the movie ends. There's no after, right?
There was no after.
Okay. All right, Kobe, let's go to our other section before we talk about our thoughts on this movie. High star, low star.
The only one 10 out of 10 was
Oh my gosh.
a terrible review. So we'll go 9 out of 10. Holy crap. I wasn't prepared for this at all. I expected gritty, but this was beyond. It's a wonderful horror take on Cinderella. The practical effects were a little wonky. The writing was a little messy. The CGI was decent, but the acting was really good. The cinematography was on point. The music felt perfect. It was a top-notch B-movie horror. I'd almost push it to A. I loved it. It seems like this movie ended up being better quality than it ought to have been. I loved the original take on the story. That's I don't know. So it's just, and then that's it. And then
That's
like
it?
nothing. Looks like we're missing a word.
And then we have 1 out of 10. Absolutely terrible. The scariest thing about this movie was the Botox-filled lips and faces of the actress. Was it set in modern times? Because you could see electrical light switches on the walls, plus plug sockets in the skirting boards. And in one scene, there was a home security keypad on the wall next to the white wall-mounted telephone. Some rooms were candlelit while others were electrical table lamps. The whole thing was messy. The whole thing was just a messy shambles that made no sense whatsoever. But I have to reiterate, the faces of the leading ladies, were the faces of the leading ladies their own, or did they deliberately have loads of lip filler, because etc. before filming to make them look more hideous? That guy was way more harsh than I was, but
I was right. Yeah, not a fan. He was not of it. And hey, yeah, I saw the light switch too. I saw a light switch.
yeah.
But I suspended disbelief, and I was like, hey, we don't know. Maybe there's already power at this point.
Indoor electrical, man, that's crazy. The worst part is the telephone on the wall.
I didn't see the telephone and I didn't see the keypad, but like the light switch was, I did see it. It wasn't bad. It didn't like pull me out of the movie or anything.
Like you had to pay attention, and for some people that are like that aren't used to watching like campy horror schlock, they were like, well, let me find something interesting in this so I can pay, sit through the rest of this movie. Yeah, like okay, so like I want to do like let me do the pros. I do gotta say, like, the practical effects is a pro. They did like they did a decent job for the budget that they have to have practical and the CG kind of blend in decently well together.
Right. Definitely.
It's funny because like when the demon godmother was pulling the guy's head off, it's like that's pretty bad CGI. But yeah, like but like it's still a probe when like when a production tries to do practical effects, because that is probably more expensive now than CGI is.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, some of that CGI now you could do it on the home computer and
yeah, and then the costume design was really good. I thought everybody had like really cool like dresses and suits and all that stuff. It was pretty. I don't know. I can't say it was pretty accurate because I don't know, but it looked from like the what's it called, the non-historical buff.
right.
Pretty
Yeah.
Bridgerton.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely.
The evil acts of the step family was like, yeah, it's pretty horrific. But it's like, it's pretty Game of Thronesy. So I was like, I could see people being evil like this. I mean, you had the Queen Blood Mary, whatever, who like was exsanguinated like virgins to feel younger.
Right. Yeah. I think that's one of those things where it was like in the original movie, like you saw how bad the stepsisters, or the Disney-ish movie,
Mm-hmm.
and this how bad the stepsisters were, and you always really wanted them to get punished and
Yeah.
not just be like, oh, they didn't get the prince, and they found out that she's gonna,
Be the queen now.
that and she's the stepsister, or she's the stepsister, so she's not blood related, so she doesn't have to bring you guys along, kind of, But here you're like, because you always were like, oh, I wish they got punished a little more than that. But here they're like, oh, super punishment.
Yeah, because like in the original Grimm fairy tales, like wasn't it like they made the stepsisters like dance until they died or something? I think that was like the original Grimm fairy tale.
Right.
Yeah, that they had to like dance and they're like they died of exhaustion or something like that. Which I was like, that's pretty hardcore too. Like, because they had to dance in like the castle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so but yeah, the cons are, it's a low budget movie. There's no well-known actors in here, so it's probably just a lot of people just trying to get a film credit.
Okay, well,
Oh,
we'll get to that.
wait, no, go ahead, dude. Who's the famous person in here?
Okay, so there is not a famous person in here, but there we go. Cinderella,
Mm-hmm.
she was in Blood and Honey. She was in the Curse of the Humpty Dumpty. She's going to be in Bambi, the evil Bambi one. The one stepsister, Hannah, she was in one of the Curse of Humpty Dumptys. She was in Blood and Honey 2. The stepmother was in Blood and Honey 2, in Popeye's Revenge. You didn't get to actually see her face, the fairy godmother.
Yeah.
She was in a couple of these movies. The little boy is young Christopher Robin from Blood and Honey. The Queen was also in some of these movies.
So, did we just stumble upon watching the British Asylum?
Yes. I think that's what it is, where you had like Jeffrey Combs was in like 12 different asylum movies or
full moon movies.
Full moon pictures, and like at the beginning, Tim Thomerson or whatever his name was in like a whole bunch, like kind of crossed over through. I feel like that's they found their little B horror section, and they're all like,
well, this is what's gonna pay the bills.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so awesome. Like, there's like a British sci-fi channel, and this is their asylum pictures.
Right, because there's like Monster NATO, and a couple of them are in that. There's like a Sleeping Beauties Horror Land or something. A couple of them are in. There's like Circus Mouse, which is like Mickey Mouse killing people in a theme park. A couple of them are in that. So yeah, it's definitely like
asylum.
There's a lot of they all know each other.
Yeah. I'm still mad that like no one's like taking like quotes from like we don't have a volcano, a gorilla cane. That's just like like, have you ever seen Donkey Kong do that one spinning move?
Yes.
So it's just like a hurricane with a bunch of spinning gorillas. Oh man, yeah, really sad that like no one's saying. What about Clown Spider?
That's ours. We're doing it.
Yeah. Which, I mean, like, I guess, to be fair, Stephen King did it first because, didn't Pennywise turn into like a huge arachnid?
Yeah.
But this is just like, a clown with a spider face. Oh man, but yeah, like, if you're gonna come into like these kind of movies where they have like, the cover art is pretty bad. The even the title is even worse. Like, you have to really go in here with just bottom of the floor, 3 a.m. at the bar expectations of who you're gonna go home with.
Right. Yes. Oh, okay. Here we go. So, Kelly Ryan Sanson, who was the Cinderella.
Yeah.
She's Curse of Cinderella, Blood and Honey 2. She's going to be in Pinocchio Unstrung. She's going to be in the upcoming Hook horror movie, Popeye's Revenge, Peter Pan's Neverland, Fairest of Them All, and then we go out of this, and then she's in The Nutcracker Massacre, The Easter Bunny Massacre, Snake Hotel, and Pterodactyl 2.
Pterodactyl 2? It means there's a Pterodactyl 1 that we haven't seen. Oh gosh, there has to be. I wish they would come out with a stream. Like, I wish like Shudder would like expand their freaking library, because like at a certain point you have a Shudder account. At a certain point you're just done with the whole library.
Right.
And like the only
I'm always surprised on how much stuff is on Tubi.
Tubi's like, Tubi has to be like this like savior for a lot of like independent film companies,
right?
Because they're like,
I've watched it, and I don't know how how Tubi sets up their promotions, their commercial stuff, because I've watched some stuff on Tubi that's like bigger budget,
but it's like old movies,
stuff.
Right?
And then it's like every 15 minutes you get a commercial break. I watched this on Tubi. It was one commercial break in the middle.
Yeah.
Curse of Humpty Dumpty. I feel like I watched all three of those, and I feel like two of the movies didn't even have commercial breaks. Only one of them did. So like these like low budget ones, you're basically like, it's like free streaming service.
Yeah, I
mean, you're not.
I think it's because they're probably not hitting a certain amount of numbers. Because I feel like a lot of these, like, you know, a lot of the old movies that are on Tubi that are like huge, those are pretty much just like free game for like streaming services to like kind of license or
Right.
not even have a license, but there's like, oh well, yeah, we're gonna put it in our library, and then all the ad revenue that comes from there will just, you know, that's what we'll pay for. And I think that's what Tubi, maybe that's how Tubi gets a lot of their money from, is like having like a lot of these older movies that people still love to watch for free, and then it just has commercials, which whatever, because Hulu still has commercials. You know, no one wants to pay 20-30 dollars to get no commercials or whatever. Even though
Right.
Hulu might be a little bit more worth it, just because they do have decently recent stuff on there. You know, and they do like not simulcast, but they have like it's like a day or two later that they'll have it on the streaming service,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
which makes a lot of sense. So maybe that's how Tubi pays for like to keep their servers open, because we're always wondering like how is Tubi making money from like, you know, housing all of these like schlock movies.
Right. And I've heard that, like, I don't know this like for fact, but I've heard people talking on like TikTok and stuff saying that, you know, hey, watch on Tubi because these little small independent films actually get a better payout per view on Tubi than they are on like Amazon. Where Amazon, like, you know,
You
you
gotta
get
rent it or whatever,
a
right?
huge mass market. So like, yeah, if it's a free movie, they're getting, you know, $1 a view or whatever, and then on like Tubi they're getting like $4 a view, or, you know, I'm
See, I feel
just pulling
like
the numbers out of my ass. I don't have no idea, but like it seems like when they were talking about it, there was like a 3 or 4
yeah,
multiple over.
I feel like if we talk about Tubi enough, that we'll be able to have our own Tubi podcast show.
Yes.
Oh man, but yeah, like there's not really much else to really talk about this. You know, apologize for the short episode. You know, this movie is only an hour and 21 minutes, so we really stretched out like like almost 10 minutes of just talking about Tubi. um, but you know,
But kind of like last week where
yeah.
I was like, hey, there's a bunch of Humpty Dumpty movies, and I didn't realize it was like a trilogy. There was also a Cinderella's with this was Cinderella's Curse, but there was Cinderella's Revenge that I also watched this week.
Oh, okay.
It is way less bloody.
Gory. Oh,
It's pretty much just Cinderella like revenging on her 2 stepsisters and her stepmom. Um, but it's a kind of a same kind of thing where like it's a pretty you know, fairy godmother.
yeah.
But there's like they try to do funny things, like she's like, hey, I need a carriage to the ball, and the stepmother's like, oh, a carriage is not going to get you there in time, so poof, I'm going to let you have a Tesla, and Elon Musk is going to drive it for you. And there's like an actor that kind of looks like Elon Musk.
Super not afraid of getting sued. Oh man, yeah, but I feel like the bloodiness or like the goriness is like the charm, where the charm really is at. So
Yeah,
that's kind of unfortunate that like they kind of toned it down. But we're coming to our our time, so let's go ahead and yeah, just make sure to check all of our other prior months down below. We have themes for days. We have 4 to 5 years almost worth of themes for you to go ahead and check out. There's a bunch out there for you, so there has to be something there for you. But we do.
yeah, if you guys have ideas on themes, send them to us.
Yeah, doesn't matter where. We gotta we'll run through our social medias in a second, but we do our reviews in 4 different sections. We have stream a DVD, a Blu-ray, and the Ultimate Box Collection. Kobe, where are you at for this one?
This was fun. I'm really digging like this week it's been like the most fun, even though all these movies aren't necessarily great.
Yeah,
I've been having a ball watching these, and I've gone through and like watched so many extra things because I
Yeah.
didn't know that there was.
The British
um,
Asylum. Yeah.
right. Oh man, yeah. That's this. What was it? Golden Dog
Productions or something.
Productions or something.
Yeah.
I feel like a number of the things we watched had that like logo. I would
Yeah.
love to be like Golden Dog. That's the full moon. Boom. Like, yeah, give me a box set with like
Well,
8 Golden Dog movies in it, and
yeah.
I'd just be a happy camper.
Yeah, I think for me, if it's by itself, yeah, probably just a DVD because I don't think going Blu-ray would be great to
I
highlight
You're
even
right.
more imperfection to this movie. But yeah, if they did like an ultimate box collection of just like the first movies of all of their trilogies, I think that would be kind of fun to like, oh hey, let's watch this really bad horror film. But it's a lot of fun, so don't worry, guys. I wouldn't leave you stranded in there. But yeah, that's gonna be our reviews, and make sure to check all of our social media's links down below.
Yeah, we got our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter X, Threads, TikTok, YouTube. We're on everything. Pick one or pick them all. Like us and share us, and send us a message. Like I said, pick us some categories. If you got a film that you want us to review, let us know.
Definitely. Thank you guys for joining us. My name is Barry.
This is Colby.
And this is Who Watches This. If you guys want to check it out as theme music, it is Lee Roosevelt. It's called Arcade Montage. It's on our album Music Podcast 3, and the Bandcamp is down below.
Thank you.